My name is Cathy Chao Rothberg, and I am Chaosarn's oldest daughter, one of two daughters, and the executive director of Lao Family Community Development. I'm right now surrounded by my mother and my brother Mike, who not only is my brother, but he's my friend. In front of me, I have my other siblings. I have Samson, my elder brother. I have Frank, younger, Peter, Jerry, John, and my sister, Linda. There are 8 of us. I thank my siblings and my family for the opportunity to speak on our family's behalf. This is a shared, combined message about our father and what he meant to us. Someone once said, the size of the love is the size of the loss. In our case, then it feels like a big, vast, endless ocean. How do you say goodbye? To someone you love so much when you're not ready. And in your mind, we think that he was also not ready. Even the Mian priest shaman yesterday at our family home, as they conducted the ritual of 13 coin ceremony, 10 of the coins showed that our father was not ready to go, and 3 coins show that he was ready to go. I hope within the next 2 days of additional ceremonies will help us to come to terms better. Everyone here, with the exception of just our immediate family, did not know that my father, Chaosarn, he was diagnosed with a rare form of non-Hodgkin's B-cell plus follicular lymphoma cancer, a cancer of the blood. He first collapsed while he was outside his backyard in 2004 in his home in Sacramento, and he was hospitalized for 1 month. Because Dad had multiple other complications, it took about a year before Kaiser was able to diagnose that he had stage 4 lymphoma. The cancer had spread to his spleen, to his neck, his stomach, his legs, and his bone marrow. The doctor said that this type of blood cancer had no cure. But if there was any silver lining, they said it was indolent, meaning slow growing. He could live as long as 5 years or as long as 20 years. There was no way to really know for sure. Dad didn't really take his illness seriously until the spring of 2005, when on the anniversary of his first hospitalization, he collapsed yet again and was hospitalized yet again for 1 month. This is when he and the board of directors of Lao Family and the staff realized how critical things were. I applied for and was appointed as executive director of Lao Family in 2006. Dad battled his illness bravely for 13 years, and he underwent several years of chemotherapy and radiation. He would undergo chemo treatment in the morning and then go to work in the afternoon. Most people would say that was pretty amazing. Well, Dad was that kind of amazing person. He had a strong mind. Even though Dad suffered tremendously, He kept dedicating his energy to his family, to his relatives, to his community, and his work. We think Dad learned early in his life Buddha's first of the Four Noble Truths. Life is suffering, that life is difficult. It is said that this is one of the greatest truths. Once we truly see the truth, once we understand and accept it, then we can transcend it. The fact that life is difficult, therefore, no longer matters. Dad did not dwell on his illness. He believed discipline was the basic tool that was required to solve one's life problems. Dad also believed, like President Benjamin Franklin, that those things that hurt also instruct. In Dad's own words, he said, "No one wants to die, but when the time comes, what can we do?" Dad hardly spoke about missing his dad and his mother, but we think he must have. For who wouldn't if you were the beloved child? Dad shared that his father never yelled at him. He followed his dad from the time he was 4 years old. He went everywhere with his father, even to the toilet. One day, he realized that he would rather wait outside. Our mother shared that the reason why Dad, even during his last moments alive, he wanted our brothers, Jerry and John, to get engaged, and he even picked out the brides for them. Our grandfather, John Mai, passed away when Dad was barely 19 years old, and then his mother passed away when he was 21 years old. How sad and lonely Dad must have been. He did not want Jerry and John to experience those same feelings he had. We think that is where the Mian community is very unique. We have our own internal structure of family support to help us overcome the sorrow and loneliness of tragedies, such as death in the family. Dad spoke about this in the video you saw earlier. Our family appreciates the 24-hour love, comfort, company, and help since the day Dad passed away. We are absolutely sure that was the same love that was extended to our family 50 years ago when our grandfather and our grandmother also died. Our family has had several unexpected deaths these last 10 years, some due to illness such as cancer, other medical illnesses, car fatalities, tripping hazard, and yet others more tragic. Hope is good. In 2016, nearly 13 years after Dad's oncologist team said that there was no cure, a chance dinner meeting with the former Senator Art Torres, chairman of the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine, where he spoke about new research and innovations on stem cell transplant. Following multiple meetings with Kaiser and Stanford, Dad was able to get accepted into a bone marrow transplant, offering Dad the possibility of a cure. Dad had a transplant on February 3rd. On the 28th day, his new immune system took control. He was recovering at 80%. The team at Stanford told us. Hope that gave us. Unfortunately, Dad was struggling eating. He had the flu, pneumonia, lung and liver complications. Although we knew our father wasn't doing too well in the last 3 weeks, the sudden rapid decline of his health within a 48-hour span came as a shock when he stopped breathing at 1:05 p.m. at Stanford Hospital on April 5th. We were devastated. He told our family staff that he would be back May 2017. He was confident, just like the rest of us, that this was just another task that he needed to get through. So even though Dad died, we do not believe that he lost to cancer. We see Dad as someone who has beat cancer by the way he has lived, why he has lived, and the manner in which he has lived, and the people that he loved. Dad fought like hell until the end. He got tired though. He became very quiet. His emotions were strong, but physically he was exhausted. Mom fought for him day and night for 60 plus days. We did too. But in the end, there was just too much complications. We share this with you so you can better understand how valiantly he fought and what a remarkable person Dad was. There's already a lot written about Lao family and the work of Lao family. We put together a sort of list of memories that we have of the lessons and the values that our father has taught us. And we want to share those with you. Please bear with me. For us, our father was the quintessential hero with 1,000 faces, as the American scholar and mythologist Joseph Campbell wrote about. Dad always wished for each one of us to find our own way. Therefore, we could find our bliss. He believed if we follow our bliss, the universe will open doors for us. Along the way, one had to campaign for others, support others, financially and in other ways. Dad was someone who has done so many things that were way beyond the normal range of achievement and experience. He gave his life to something so much bigger than himself. Something invisible to the eyes was pushing through him. He saved lives, literally. One day, he and his father rescued a pilot in a crashing helicopter in Laos. He was in war. He sacrificed himself to others. He gave us so much of his own needs for others. He was a spiritual hero for his brothers, his sisters, his relatives, and the community. He gave up his childhood at the age of 19 when his father died, and again at 21 when his mother died. When most young men are out dating, partying, drinking, having fun, Dad had to become an adult responsible with his new fiancée, our mother, to raise 10 siblings. With Uncle Jeff being only 3 years old and Uncle Ya'u was only 6 years old. He became a father overnight, even before he had his own children. Psychologically, emotionally, and financially, he had to grow up overnight with tremendous burden of responsibility. He had to lay death his youth and resurrect as an adult. His father was his hero, his advisor, his biggest supporter, and now his father was dead. And he had to become father to his siblings and the leader for his people. We're not sure if he chose it or if it chose him. But he had to be concerned about the family. We don't know if it was the life that he had planned, but he accepted the life that awaited him. He had to consciously grow up. He had to dig deep to find a source of life and maturity intentionally. Dad constantly died and resurrected and reinvented himself. To us, this is the constant theme of who our father was. Dad evolved. He reestablished a new consciousness. He had many trials and tribulations. He had constant transformation. Upon arriving to the United States, the men had to form a new society in America. They had to learn a new political system, learn and be exposed to all sorts of religious systems, the banking system, the education system, technology, language, new social system, navigate race and other economic issues. Dad always had respect for others. He had such pride in the progress of the Yumian people. Dad had a lot of adventures, both travel and experience. He was ready because his father groomed him from the age of 4. He was a compassionate human being, and he was always real. Dad had to assimilate into the new society as an adult. We saw how difficult it was for them. They had to learn and relate to all sorts of new things in this society. One thing about Dad was he always listened to himself, his spirit, his mind. His character was constantly sharpened. Dad's source of life was serving others. He found meaning in this. Dad was alive every day, especially when dealing with adversity. His eyes would light up when he would explain to us how he would overcome adversity. We asked Mom why Dad always wanted us to get married. Her response was that he remembered how lonely he was without his father and his mother. He wanted each of us to have someone to love and to whom love us back and to have companionship. A man parent does not feel fully comfortable in dying when they know that their children are not taken care of. The lives of those left behind and their prosperity is of utmost importance to the Mien people. I'm going to shorten this up a little bit to some things that my siblings have shared. Dad, you bought me a manual car. I don't know how to drive a manual. It's easy, come on, let's go, I'll teach you. Dad, Mom told me you had a lot of horses growing up. She told me about the time your friends played a prank on you, where they jumped out in front, scared your horse and you fell off, and the horse stepped on your calf. And that's how you ended up with the permanent scar of a horse hoof. Did grandfather teach you how to ride? Of course not. I taught myself how. It's easy. You've climbed onto the back of a tiger now. You have to learn how to ride it. You have to control it. If you don't, you'll be eaten and die. Your finals are over now. Just sleep and rest. Don't worry about anything. Dad was always a fighter. He never gave up. Dad was my biggest cheerleader. He was my biggest critic, and he was my mentor. My father was the beacon in my life and the mentor who shaped who I am today. When I went to NYU for grad school, he didn't pay for my grad school because he wanted me to become self-sufficient. After many years later, I paid off my student loans, and when he told me to learn Mandarin as a child, I did the next best thing. I married a Mandarin-speaking wife. Time and time, my father always preached perseverance and reward. That's what he embodied, and that is the life he lived and breathed. In his waning moments of life, I stared into his eyes and I thanked him for everything he had done for me, and I told him that I loved him. To say that my dad has a temper is an understatement. As much as I respected him as a child, there was definitely a fear of a whooping stick. So if you did something bad, Dad was on his way home from work, you better make sure to hide the flip-flops on the whipping stick. My siblings and I turned out to be pretty good. So he must have worked, but he must have been the military man. Dad was a tremendously complex personality. But I remember growing up, he was always generous with food and money. He would always let the kids eat before him. When he dropped us off at school, he would give us more than just money. At the same time, he wanted to instill in all his kids the simple fact that in America you can do whatever you set your heart and mind to, but you have to work hard. There's no person in my life I knew who worked harder than him. I remember many nights he had an electric IBM typewriter that drove me crazy. And when he finally got a computer, it was not the typing that kept me up, it was the annoying dot matrix printer. My fondest memory of my dad would always be when he didn't say anything when I did something good. Like when he held Lucas at the hospital holding back tears. When he took me on a business trip, like the one to Washington, D.C., he knew I was bored of the low-income housing conference. So he let me spend a whole day wandering Washington, D.C. by myself. He always wanted me to find a sense of purpose. My uncles and aunts share these messages. Your father always valued unity. He loved family, relatives, and the community. Your dad was very proud of and really valued our family's good reputation. He would always say our descendants and ancestors did this or that. Your dad always put others before himself. He was extremely generous. Your dad really valued self-sufficiency and prosperity. Your dad was someone who was sought out as a source of comfort and grasp. The lead cow in a herd or the lead bird in a flock. Wherever he was, we voluntarily went. It was your dad and his words that he sent recorded in a cassette that gave us the courage to come to America. Lastly, my siblings and I, more importantly, even though it's last, we want to thank our mothers, Faith and Mafai. When Dad falters, you two provide us support. When you come home at nighttime and Dad's favorite seat at the dining table is empty, let's embrace that he is still with us in spirit. And that as a former diabetic, he is laughing at us because he can now indulge in ice cream and strawberry cream cheese cake. And when he's not present at the head of the table for me and New Year's dinner, he's smiling at us because after nearly 13 years of foregoing alcohol, wine, whiskey, he can now drink those things. So, dearest Ama Mafai, Uncle Ya'u, Yalu, Yati, aunties, Naiko, Famko, Saimua, Kemua, cousins, relatives, Dad's grandchildren, Joy, Charlie, Malcolm, Anaya, Lucas, and Adrian. Dad's dear friends, Dad's colleagues, respected elected, Supervisor Joy, Mayor Valdez, Councilmember Morris, Waste District McNeil, President, and the colleagues and staff of Lau Family, the board of Lau Family, and our extended family. We thank you all for your support, for being here today to celebrate Dad's life. God bless you all. Thank you.